Hello, everybody. It is Mike Young, lifestyle nutritionist. Welcome to chapter 66 of the Live to 150 book. This one is dedicated to one single quote. You probably heard it before. It's by Maya Angelou, and it's basically summary. I've heard a lot of different versions of it, but basically it goes, when you know better, you do better. And this is integral to this entire work, this entire book here. It's just as integral as having an open mind, because if you don't first have an open mind, you're not going to ever learn anything, not anything real anyway. And you have to continue that open mind, because when you know how to do something better, and that's what this whole book is, it's teaching you how to do life better. When you know how to do it, you actually have to go out and do it. You have to convince yourself to do it, because it's not easy. Because usually when you've learned a new way of doing things, or a better way, or you were taught that the way you were doing something was wrong, there's a tremendous amount of resistance there. So you have to understand this quote. And if you understand this quote, maybe it'll provide you with the motivation to go ahead and go forward and do it. And looking at it from another way, I also want to say that this quote doesn't work unless you have a conscience, a properly functioning conscience. Because if you don't have a good conscience, a properly functioning conscience, even if you know I should do this, you're just not going to do it. All right. So, and of course, how do you work on your conscience? You practice doing the right thing. You practice getting out of your comfort zone. In almost every case, this is a similar technique, a similar environment that you're going to place yourself in. It's just getting out of your comfort zone and staying out, holding your feet out there. You know, like if the comfort zone is like a fire, you got to hold your own feet to the fire, and you just got to do it until you get it done, till you make that change. And if you don't, like, in my opinion anyway, let me know in the comments if you agree with this or not. If not all the concepts in this book are critical for future societies, for the future of humanity. So that should be a motivator for you. If you have a good conscience, if you just learned something, you know something, now you're going to do it better, and enough to push you out and to keep moving forward with that kind of stuff. Because I don't claim to know it all either right now. I do claim to know a lot, and especially about the food and daily habits and choices and stuff like that. That's why we're talking about this from a nutrition standpoint as well. But I don't know everything, and we don't know everything. And there's going to be things that we're going to learn over time that I'm going to have to maybe write another book. Now, this one I intend to finish this year. Hopefully I will finish it, and hopefully before the end of the summer, because it's actually July. It's getting past, it's beyond mid-July already. And I'm only really going to have the rest of this month and next month to get this thing done. So I will get it done. And at that point, if I learn more information, probably have to have a different vehicle to get that across, but there will be new information. But even still, this body of work, this body of information is so extensive that if you're serious into this, and I hope that you are, you're going to have to listen to and watch these chapters, some of them over and over and over again. And that's why I put it into its own playlist here on YouTube. And when you go to live250.org, you pull straight up on the playlist. You can watch them in order, or you can randomize that with the functions through YouTube. So, maybe you hook it up to your phone in your car, you just hear all kinds of different things over and over again. But you're going to need this motivation. And just remember that it's so important. Don't be selfish. This is like an anti-selfish quote, because the only reason you wouldn't do any better when you know that you should do something better is if you're just truly being selfish. And there is absolutely no benefit to anybody, including not only to yourself, because I think if someone's really being truly selfish, it's basically like shooting yourself in the foot. I don't like to use that kind of violent term, but that's what you're doing. Okay. It's self-sabotage. It's a lot like a lot of the stuff. It's self-abuse. It's like these other things I've talked about here in the book, how eating the way most people do these days is like constant self-abuse 3 times a day at breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And we need to learn why you shouldn't do this. These these concepts should be required teaching as folks grow up. And of course, they're not, as we know, just like finance stuff is not either. A lot of things that or just relationship stuff is not. You think would the most important things to teach, nobody's teaching them. And hopefully, maybe in another 10 years or so, maybe people won't need to read this book because everyone's going to be taught this stuff as they grow up. Or maybe this book is going to be used as the text. Like every time you've got some child that's being raised, by the time they hit kindergarten or first grade, they need to start listening to this, or even before that, they can hear it in the background because it needs to be programmed in their head. They need to see people doing it. They need to see others doing it. That's another reason why when you know better, you do better, because then others see you doing something. And when they do, then you positively impact others, people that you don't even know you're positively impacting generations too. Instead of allowing generations to succumb to the same bad habits and bad choices. And don't think it's because, oh, well, I'm old, I won't be around much longer, I can't really do much. No, it's very important because you're supposed to be wise, right, when you're old. Like I was supposed to have reached the age of wisdom at age 50. Maybe that's why it took me till age 51 to get the idea that I'm going to write this book, and to age 52 to complete it. It took that long. But, you know, I guess I don't know. I'm always curious. I'm always wanting to learn things, and yeah, it's difficult. Yeah, I had to get out of my comfort zone, but it's worth it. Even if I only bring a few people along, it's worth it, because those people, it's like anything else. It's like, you know, you hear about the compounding power of money. You get that money and you get it invested, and over time it just grows. Ridiculous amount of money. Same thing's true with these concepts. The people that grasp these concepts, including you, if you're out there watching it, in future generations, it's going to pay off like you would never believe. And a lot of the reasons, unfortunately, not to sound morbid, is because a lot of the reasons why I need to write this book and get it out there is because a lot of people are just you know, constantly abusing themselves, constantly sabotaging themselves, really killing themselves. And that's bad. We don't want that to be the norm. Unfortunately, it is the norm right now in 2022, and we're trying to change that. So you've got to grasp onto this age-old quote. I don't know even know when it was said. When you know better, you do better. You've got to understand it, and I don't care what it applies to. You've got to decide that you agree with this, and that you're going to do what's necessary, whatever that is. And my guess is also, if you're watching this book, reading this book, listening to this book, there's a lot you don't know and you want to learn. So you're going to be challenged in this. This quote is going to challenge you and maybe even haunt you for the foreseeable future until you get to a place of balance in your own life where you want to be. But when you get there, it'll absolutely be worth it. Just like they also say, there's nothing tastes as good as healthy feels. It's true also, but you have to get to a certain point in your life to where you understand that. Until you get to that point in your life, you're putting a lot of faith in people who are saying these types of things, and is well placed, if you ask me. But just realize that it's a lot of times it's kind of like you're taking a leap of faith. That's the best way to say it. So give me any other feedback you have here, please, in the comments. I'd like to hear how you're doing in your life, how this quote might apply to you, what things you've succeeded in. Let people know in the comments. I'd like to hear, well, someone told me about this, or Mike, chapter 37 told me this, and I'm doing this now. And and let us know, is it hard? Is it hard to stick to? What are the techniques you're using to be able to stick with it? Did you just do like a cold tofurkey change where you're all of a sudden you're just a new person? Let us know in the comments how that's going for you. And of course, like the video if you've gotten anything out of it, and subscribe to the channel so that you'll get notifications for about future chapters. So thanks so much for watching. See you in the next chapter. Bye-bye.